Yeah. What up, what up, what up, everybody? How are you? Welcome to Fireside Five with Nick Abraham in the house. Nick, how you doing today?
Doing great, Steve. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm actually back, as you can see, in the clinic. A little bit of a change of scenery for anyone who's watching us right now. It is lovely, and I am honored to have you here. So I'm going to tell my side of your story to get us going, and then I'd like to hear your version of your life before that, because I'm assuming there was a bit of a life before we met, even though it feels perhaps less remarkable. I get it. But either way, Nick is one of the few people, a very, very select crew that I would say, that is a cold email that I got that I actually replied to. So as a small business owner, probably as a small business owner, as a healthcare provider, as a small business owner, healthcare provider in NYC, I get a lot of random emails about a lot of random things. And I do kind of read them, not totally, but usually I'll give it like 2 sentences maybe. And maybe it's like flattering gets you everywhere, maybe not. But Nick, in his email to me, said, "You guys have great content on Instagram, but I notice you don't get a lot of engagement," which is kind of how I feel every night before I go to bed. I'm like looking at all these people on Instagram doing their booty workouts. I get it. Like, I totally understand. I mean, this is special, but I get that that is special as well. And it's kind of interesting how I know that we have content that shatters. We give so much quality information away for free, but our Instagram just kind of never caught fire. And I can give you a couple of reasons why it maybe did, why it maybe didn't. You would know better than I, but either way, that was your approach to me and said, "Hey, I noticed this. Would you like help solving it?" And 100% I want help solving it. So that got us onto the phone. And it was one of those things, and I know I'm not the only person who feels like that. And I know in our live group right now, we have a lot of healthcare providers. I worry about paying my rent, making sure that everyone's taken care of. We're offering quality services, growing the business, working on our teaching, working on our extracurricular stuff, being a good family member, being a good husband, working out, taking care of myself, keeping good balance. And frankly, I think I enjoy digital marketing the least out of all the things that I have to do. But it is something that is important for us as a business because we have to meet people where they're at. And ideally, we would like to have passive income eventually. We're not there yet. And if you want passive income, you have to have people that know who you are. And that's just kind of where you came in. So it was really nice to meet someone who spoke the language and also understood it, because I could tell that you would talk to enough you've worked with enough other healthcare providers that you knew already what my frustrations, hesitations, and obstructions were going to be. And you had already crafted a plan out of them that didn't feel overwhelming in the moment. Almost when I got off the phone, I was more excited rather than like, oh, now there's something else that I have to do. It felt like it was going to remove. So that's how we met. Then the more that we've talked, I've realized how well you know what you do. And I know that there's a lot of people like us who know zero about digital marketing, Instagram, TikTok, as you talk about, all that sort of stuff. And we want to learn from you as much as we possibly can. So Nick, tell us your story and spare no detail.
Yeah, 100%. So I got into digital marketing about 4 years ago. So right now I'm 21 years old. I go to the University of Texas at Arlington. I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate with my degree in finance. But I really got into digital marketing my freshman year in college, kind of as a side hustle. So I grew a theme page on Instagram to about 50,000 organic followers before I sold it. And that really just got me really interested in how all this kind of works. And it kind of gave me the basic principles to be able to, take this skill that I learned and start leveraging it for other people. So I started working with a whole bunch of different people, insurance agents, real estate agents, and it just never took off just because it was really hard working with a whole bunch of different businesses in a whole bunch of different areas because you had to come up with a custom strategy every single time. And so then that really took me away from my business. And then so within the last 6 months, we kind of really dialed down just into healthcare professionals, just because, my dad's always wanted me to be a doctor. He's always wanted to be in the healthcare profession. Now I'm working with doctors. So, it's the same thing. And so now we work with healthcare professionals. So we work from everywhere, anything from like a plastic surgeon to PTs to dermatologists, and we're all around. And so Instagram and like social media in general, it really all follows the same basic principles. It's really simple to be able to expand on it. And, just by learning how to do it the last 4 years, I've just been able to help a lot of people grow their businesses. And so that's just one of my businesses. The other business, and this is kind of how I met you, I actually run a lead generation software. And so basically what it is, it allows me to type in physical therapist in New York, and instantly it gives me a whole bunch of people's contact information. And so that's kind of how I got Steve's contact information. And so I was able to go in and send out a message, and I checked out his Instagram. He has honestly really great content in the terms of like structure, organization, format. It looks really nice, really good. But then, you go into each individual post and you just see that it's not getting the engagement. And so, that's a misconception a lot of people have. They think if I have that like perfect, content, that I'm instantly going to get a whole bunch of likes, and it's going to blow up. And that's just not how it is. And that's the worst part, because, there's a lot of like, especially with plastic surgeons, they post really bad content and literally provide no value. And, it sucks to see that, they have the money and that they're paying people to kind of come in and like it and comment, and it just blows up. But then you have, accounts like yours where it's valuable information, teaching people something different, teaching them how to improve their life, and it just doesn't get the reach that it does. And so that's kind of where I come in, and I kind of help, healthcare professionals just grow their pages out and whatnot. And the cool thing is that, as a healthcare professional, your job isn't to grow an Instagram page. And as much as, like you said, it's time consuming, especially. And, so you just want to, it's like another thing you have to worry about. So if you can delegate it, you want to delegate it. So that's kind of how I kind of created my business and how we kind of grow.
That's awesome. And it is nice. And this is like, I can, like Ramith, like I read his stuff. I listen to his stuff. He's phenomenal. Like I can look at all of these gurus of advertising, but me being in New York City, I think changes the playing field a little bit. Me being in New York City and being an out-of-network provider changes the approach differently as well. We're not just trying to get 1 million people to know who we are to buy our 45-cent thing. Like we, in general, as a physical therapy practice, are trying to get people to come see us, to pay either out of pocket or to have out-of-network benefits that they want to use. And that's a niche. And then the same thing with our desires for our Instagram followers is we want to help everyone out. But in general, people that have a little bit higher health literacy and also desire strength and conditioning and know like a little bit of it about anatomy and physiology tend to be more drawn to our pages. Now, we want to expand that to everyone, but our approach is going to be different from just someone trying to grow to 1 million followers. And that's where it was nice that I felt like you spoke the language of New York City. Like I know we're not your only people you work with in New York City, out of network and that sort of stuff. So it was really nice. With all that, I think that it lends it to the first question is, what are the best ways to grow Instagram organically?
Yeah, so there's like a whole bunch of like small stuff that go into Instagram, and I can talk about this forever because there's just so many things that go into it. But really, you just got to understand the basic principles, and I'll go into that. So think about it in terms of social media, right? Why does Instagram want to push your content out to others versus other people, like other people's content, right? So if that makes sense, I'm not sure if it does, but like, why does a social media algorithm choose to show your content to other people versus others? And the reason why it's going to show your content is because it's more engaging. And so that's like the number one thing you want to focus on, engagement. So engagement means, the more likes, the more comments, the more shares, and the more saves that you get, the more that it's going to want to push it out to other people. And the reason why is because, think about it, if the algorithm could detect that you're getting a lot of likes, comments, and saves, it can resonate that it's a good piece of content. And if other people are seeing good pieces of content, they're going to be on the app more. That's what social media wants. And so once I really understood that, I was like, okay, how can I trick the algorithm to thinking that my content is really engaging, right? And I don't want to buy followers because that doesn't do anything. I don't want to, buy likes. It doesn't do anything.
Mhm.
I want the people to genuinely be interested in what I'm doing and also kind of spike it in a little bit. And so what we do, and you got to think about social media again, is social media is meant for you to interact, right? So if this is a strategy called the $80 strategy. It's actually by Gary Vee. And what it is basically you're finding 90 different posts within your niche, and you're going in and you're commenting your 2 cents. That's where it comes to $80 strategy. And so to do that, it takes a lot of work because, like, think about it. Dropping 90 comments on 90 different posts, that's going to take you, like, I would say if it's really thoughtful and really great, it's going to take you anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. And most healthcare professionals, you don't have an additional 3 to 4 hours to kind of be, to be on Instagram. And because, like, the other thing is it doesn't resonate with value or money. So it's like you're not getting anything in return for just commenting, and you can never, track the results on that. And so what we like to do is we like to have our employees. So I have a team of 5 virtual assistants based out of the Philippines. And what we'll do is we'll do that for you. We'll go in and, we're trying to avoid really crazy stuff, like crazy like stuff that kind of go into HIPAA violations. And we'll just be in there and we'll just make sure we're doing that manual engagement. And by doing that, people are seeing your feed. And they're going to be like, oh, shoot, a PT, a doctor, a plastic surgeon's commenting on my stuff. Well, let me see what his content's about. Let me see his page. And so then they'll go into your page. And then this is the second part. So the first thing you want to worry about is engagement. The second part is content. So you don't ever it's a misconception that people are like, okay, if I post absolute like high quality content, that it's going to do good. If I post stock photos, it's going to do really great. So, the average human sees about 6,000, 10,000 ads every single day. So if you're posting stock photos, you're just subconsciously just going to skip through it, and it's never going to really pick up the value that it needs, right? And so social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you want it to be just completely natural. Don't worry about those stock photos. That's what all these advertisers will tell you to do, just so they can come in there and, try to get you to buy a photo shoot from them and, upsell you on stuff like that. You just need an iPhone. You just need to post decent quality content to be really consistent with it. And if you can, you want to kind of make it to look where it looks a little bit more professional. And the way you can do that really easily is, so you'll see a lot of bloggers, right? And they'll have really great feeds just because like it all just like goes together all at once. Like it just flows really well. And what they're doing, and it's really simple, and it's the best way to kind of make your feed look structured and organized, is by using a preset filter. So what a preset filter is, it basically just makes the saturation, the lighting, everything kind of just look the same on every photo. And so when you're posting photos and you have a preset filter on it, they all kind of look alike, but are different in its own. And so when you're scrolling through it, it just looks and makes it look really aesthetic and pleasing to the eye. And then if you have that, then you're converting on followers. So with those two things right there, you're gaining more followers just because you're converting on all the people that look at you when you're doing like the manual engagement. So those are the two things I would focus on, but then there's a whole bunch of different things that you got to do, So, a huge correlation that I've seen with all our clients and how engaging their content is with Instagram stories. So what an Instagram story does is it builds your attractive character, that celebrity feel, that celebrity persona. And so we always tell our clients just to be on there, just post about your daily life. It could be anything that you want because, and this is something that I see myself doing a lot. A lot of entrepreneurs that I look up to, I love to see what they're doing on the daily, right? So anytime they post a story, I'm always looking at it. That's like the first stories I always look at. And so you really just have to have them, posting about their life and have your followers really interested in what you do. And then it kind of just builds up and compounds over time because, think about it. If you're like an ordinary person and a plastic surgeon just went ahead and commented on your photo saying, whoa, that's a super cool photo, you're going to check their profile out. You're going to see the quality content that they provide. You're going to follow them. And then you're going to see their stories come up here and there. And then it's just going to compound it. You're going to be more and more interested in their stuff. And then that's going to lead you to liking their stuff, commenting on their stuff, saving their stuff. And then another thing that we also like to keep in mind is with the content, the pages that perform the best with content is if you're providing value. So if you're just posting photos of you like outside doing, like it has no uniqueness to it, it's just going to be like any other account. But if you can provide some kind of value, whether it be humor, be educational, if you just provide some kind of value, something that they could take away, then you're going to continue to just be able to grow your page's engagement, convert on a lot of people, and really just start to compound. But I think the biggest thing I see with that a lot of health professionals do wrong is that they'll never engage manually, right? And so that's one big thing. And then if they do post photos, they're always posting like stock photos. And so those are like the two things that we're always like, you know what, aside from that, let's try to create better content and let's kind of go it that way. And let's be really consistent with it. Let's post 5 times a week. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect content. It just needs to be there. So I'm always about imperfect action. So, you know, I'd rather have like 5 bad photos than have like 1 really, really good photo, just because, you know, you're getting yourself out there more. And that's kind of how you want to go at it. Anything else I can think of off the top of my head? Those are really the 2 biggest things. So like, and you could take those same principles and apply it to any social media platform, right? The more engagement you can get, and that's the number 1 thing you want to focus on driving to your profile, the more the social media algorithm is going to favor you, and the more they're going to want to push out to other people. So think of it kind of like a game, right? So you have likes, comments, shares, and saves, right? So think of it like a basketball game, right? A like is like a free throw, so you're getting like 1 point for it. You know, if you comment, you're getting 2 points for it. If you get a bookmark, that means your content is really high quality. People want to see it later. You're getting 3 points. You know, it's like a 3-pointer. So just think of it like in terms of that. I would really, you know, the better quality content you produce, the more saves and bookmarks you're gonna get, and that's what you ultimately want to get. But you can do stuff, and then, you know, likes are really not that important anymore in my profession, just because likes can be bought and can be used by bots. And so I think Instagram doesn't really value them as much as they value like comments and saves. And even now with engagement groups, and that's something also you should look into if you're starting off, you want to join an engagement group. Like most people are convinced that they're kind of bad, but I mean, I think, you know, the algorithm isn't smart enough to kind of detect it, because, you know, the algorithm is just, it's literally a formula. It's not like an actual person kind of looking at it and being, oh, this post needs to be shared to more people, or oh, this post shouldn't be shared to more people. It's all just a numbers game. So that's kind of like a big principle that you should just look into. Outflow. The more you can put out, the more you can bring in. So that kind of goes in with a lot of like the stuff I was talking about.
That's cool. So that to sum it up, the main thing that I think most people have trouble with is the posting 5 times a week. I remember that was like the most resistance that I had. I was like, no, can't do it. 3 max. And 1 would be even better. But I do understand now that the way that you explain, the way that they want to keep you on, so they obviously want it to be good quality. And I do somewhat understand that if someone's putting out content every day, that people will want to check in with them, and almost like, oh, it's my daily check-in with that person, my daily check-in with that, my daily check-in with that. And I understand how that could be viewed as positive in Instagram and any other platform's eyes. To summarize again, like the structure is important. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to have some sort of flow that when you look at it, it quickly is like, okay, someone took a little bit of time to make sure that this all makes sense. And I like the way that you use structure. And then if I'm going to translate to what you said, is like, good enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that that's probably where healthcare providers is, especially doctors, like never is there there is perfection as there is nothing else. And it's somewhat in my profession, but not as bad. I mean, like, obviously I have a serious responsibility to like build the perfect path out of your pain as quickly as possible. Good enough is not good enough a lot of times in my day-to-day life professionally, but on Instagram it can be. And that's an important thing for me to wrap my head around. And it was helpful to hear you explain it that way. Is there anything that jogged with you that you want to chime in on before we move on to the next question?
Yeah, think about it. One last thing. You got to kind of think about it like this, right? If you have one perfect post, like ideally, like you think it's absolutely perfect, your Instagram account, you know, you might get like, let's just say you get 500 impressions, right? Well, let's say you post 5 different posts that are just average, right? Each post, let's just say on average, it gets 200 impressions. At the end of the day, those 5 posts outperform that one post, and you're getting seen by more people. And if you're using, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Sorry. But if you're, what's it called? If you're looking to kind of grow your page out and stuff like that, then, you know, you got to be seen by more people. And then also with the structure, you know, you're going to convert on everyone that looks at your profile. And like you just said, it looks like you put time into it. And so that's kind of what I look into.
That's cool. That's awesome. And thanks for making it so simple and easy to understand. So what should healthcare providers be doing more of digitally during this quarantine?
Yeah. So I think I think the biggest thing. So after, I would say like around, kind of like how we said, we send a lot of emails out, right, every single day with lead generation software. So I'm getting a whole bunch of notifications. But what I would do as a healthcare professional, so I think the biggest thing, every time I got on a phone call with a doctor, a plastic surgeon, a physical therapist, the main thing they were worried about is like, okay, how do I get more patients into the office? And so I think that just kind of woke them up to make them realize, the referral system isn't and shouldn't be the only way that they should get business. They shouldn't focus on that and just rely on that to kind of get business. And that's why I think like digital marketing is so important, especially in today's time. 10, 15 years ago, of course it didn't matter just because there wasn't that many people on social media. But now, if your audience is all on, like it's like all younger people, and it's going to be eventually in 20, 30 years, you got to start building that brand out right now. And so the first thing everyone does with digital marketing is Instagram or Facebook and I think that's the kind of the stuff you want to stray away from, actually. Those are important in the sense, you want to be on there. It builds up your brand. I think the number one thing in any business that you should focus on is email marketing, because that's the traffic that you can control. And so think about it, right? Kind of like I just told you. What I just told you right now with the Instagram algorithm can completely be different tomorrow, and a year from now, it might be completely irrelevant because the algorithm's always changing. Facebook favors their big players, not their small people. Like if you're not spending like, I would say $1 million per month on your social media, then you're considered a small time player in the game. And so it's like people like Google, Facebook, they're not going to favor your account. And that's just how it is. Most of the revenue is made from the big time players. And so like you'll see your stuff will just start having that organic reach. But if you can get their emails and start marketing towards their email addresses and start sending out good emails, follow-ups, and then, doing all that stuff, then you really be able to control the traffic and really be able to grow your brand. And so I think that's like the thing that a lot of healthcare professionals don't ever do. And I love how you send out emails. I think that's, huge. And actually I read a study, and this is a huge reason why I think clinics and stuff should focus on email marketing, is that they have an active email base. It's actually an asset to their company whenever they look to sell their company. And we talked about this before. It's a huge asset because, right now I think it's the most important. And like, I even talked to some of my plastic surgeon friends and clients that, they're always looking for reviews, right? Reviews are huge in the industry. And so like, asking them for a review, probably, they might do it if they really like you, but it sometimes just slips the mind. Mm-hmm. The best way to do it is as soon as they book an appointment, as soon as that time is over, that they immediately get an email asking for them to put out a review. And if you do a good job, and like you should as a health professional, then you're going to get that review, and it's just going to help your business out even more. And then just constantly staying with them everywhere they go, and just being omni-channel. Like, obviously posting on Instagram and stuff like that is important. But, if you're everywhere, then they're always going to remember you, and you're always going to be in the back of the mind. And it's just, I think email is the best way to kind of cut through the traffic because, not that many. I mean, I've never got emailed by a doctor before you. Like, I'm serious. Like, you're probably the first healthcare professional that's ever emailed me in my life, right? And so if you look at my doctors that I see on the regular, yearly and stuff, like they haven't sent me an email once. And so like, you always want to be in the back of your patient's mind so that they never leave you. I'm sure there's trends and data to prove this, that, you have a longer customer lifetime value if you are in their emails and stuff like that. But I think email marketing is the number one thing to do. But to kind of get people's emails address, it really comes down to, being well known on social media and just, having like, a lead magnet in your link, like in your bio, and people, whenever they check out your profile, they'll want that free lead magnet, whatever it may be, that's full of value and information, and they'll check that out. So I think email marketing is one thing that I'll definitely look into about as a professional and really take that a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So it was framed to me by a guy named Dr. Jared Carter. He's the cash physical therapist. He kind of wrote the book literally on how people could start their own practice not dealing with insurance. So Dr. Jared Carter's phenomenal, and the way that he framed it is, why am I going to pay money to pop up on Yelp, we'll say, so that someone who doesn't know me whatsoever maybe will look at the advertisement? And then if they maybe look at the advertisement, they'll maybe like what's on our Yelp thing. And then maybe they'll end up calling. and then maybe we'll end up taking their insurance. And then maybe we'll be able to find a time that works for both of us. Whereas if we can reduce a lot of those maybes by just going back to the people that know us, know that we're good, quality trust has already been built, and getting them to look in their network. Because how frequently do you see your coworker across the room like holding their neck and like, oh man, or like you see someone going like this with their shoulder? They're not doing that because they're listening to Drake. They're doing that because their shoulder hurts. And if in that moment I had sent a like, hey, how to fix your neck pain, like email blast out, and God, I was about to say Karen. Can we still say the name Karen? Whatever. We're just gonna say, and we'll say Christina is on her computer and she just sees like,
Steve, I think it cut out. I'm not sure if you can hear me still. I cannot hear you, and it's frozen on my end, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a phone call because I don't know.
with advertisements like that, it is to work with the people that you already know and that already trust you, because I guarantee in the next week, they're going to come in contact with someone who complains about being in pain about something, or who wants to get stronger, or wants to be healthier. And we just want that person to go from the back of their head to the front of their head to then say it out of their mouth, let me connect you with my buddy Steve. That's all we're looking for. And the other thing, and this is a little like, I'll tell you a little secret. So this is like this is totally between me and you. Don't tell anyone. So the best, we have over 100 5-star reviews. As I say this, I know I say this every time, but like tomorrow, I'm sure I'm going to get a 4-star review, but we literally have no 4, no 3, no 2, no 1-star reviews. We have over 100 5-star reviews. That is that. And some of them are just because like someone's cool and whatever. And like literally we like saved one guy's life because he had a blood clot and wanted us to rub his calf, and he didn't die. And he was in the ER and found out anybody that died, and he wrote one, and that's cool. But in general, people don't think to do that unless they're small business owners. Small business owners are always writing 5-star reviews for other small business owners because they know how hard this grind is. But the way that I kind of did it was when someone, I don't charge people for their first late cancel. Like we have it in the first paperwork they sign, $100 if you miss it, whatever. It's very laid out. It's even in bold. So there's not like any sort of, you didn't tell me, like it's out there. But I mean, if it's like their second or third visit and they seem genuinely remorseful and I felt like they were respectful of my time, I'll waive it. And I would just waive it in the past. But then I was like, let me solve a problem that I'm having with this other problem that I just had. So this person knows that I'm not charging them $100. And I know that they're like maybe sick at home from work or something's going on. So like, especially if they're sick, like I know they're just at home. It's a great time for me to say to them like, hey, this first one, we're just going to waive it. Like, don't even worry about it. I hope you feel better. Also, just kind of want to let you know, we're trying to build our online presence. So if you felt so inclined, feel free to go on and give them the links, Yelp or Google, and throw up a review today. That's it. And lo and behold, 100 5-star reviews later, it works really well. But again, that's just between me and you. So moving on to our third question, what do you think of TikTok possibly being banned in the US? For the people who don't know, what is TikTok? And then answer your question.
Okay, so TikTok is a new social media platform, and it's completely been like taking off this last I would say 3-4 months, especially during quarantine. It's been just taking off. It's mostly, I would say, like kids that are in their late teens, early 20s, and it's mostly just a whole bunch of girls dancing, I'd say. And basically, it's just 60-second reels, and you can just scroll through it, and it's really like if you're on TikTok, you're gonna be on there for a very long time. It's really engaging. Like you just continue scrolling. And it's interesting that the question you asked, right? So what do I think what's gonna happen to TikTok? So TikTok, if you, I haven't said this yet, but it's owned by like a Chinese. It's something in China, like I don't know if it's owned by the government or if it's owned by like a Chinese business. But basically, there's a whole bunch of privacy issues with it. So like they can, I think, see everything on your phone. They have access to anything on your phone if you log in and create an account. And so they can't even allow like any government agents that like, TSA, any government agency, they're not allowed to have TikTok on their phone just for this reason, right? And so TikTok is actually already banned in some countries like India, and it possibly might get banned in America. And so when I think about it, right, so it just really brings it back to Instagram, right? So Instagram is actually rolling out a feature, and it's coming out soon. It's called Instagram Reels. It's supposed to, be in competition with TikTok. And so they did this with Instagram Stories to combat Snapchat. And if you look at Snapchat's pretty much dead. They haven't had if you look at when they IPO'd versus what it is right now, they've lost a lot in value, and it's probably not going to be here in the next 5 to 7 years. It's because Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram, they are just killers. They're coming in to just be a monopoly and just take over. And so I think if it's already possibly going to get banned, it's user data is going to go down, and then also if Instagram rolls out to Instagram Reels very soon, I think it's just going to completely wipe it out. And then another thing is, I honestly think that a lot of these TikTok numbers are kind of like fake in a way. And the reason why is because man, I literally just looked this up before we got on this call. So David Dobrik, he's probably one of the biggest influencers right now. And he has been he started off on Vine, then he went to YouTube, he's been on Instagram, he's been building out a platform for years, right? And you got to really think about it like this, right? So he's been on YouTube and Instagram for maybe let's just say it's 8 years. I don't know the exact date. And he has, I believe, 17 million subscribers on YouTube. So he started off on YouTube first, right? He has 17 million subscribers on YouTube. On Instagram, he has 15 million followers. But on TikTok, and he's only been on TikTok for about, I would say 3 to 6 months, he has 19 million followers. So that right there just doesn't make sense to me, right? So how do you build a bigger fan base on a completely new app than you did on the 2 biggest platforms that you're on and that you are huge on? So that just didn't make, and that you'll see that with a lot of influencers. They'll have a much bigger fan base on TikTok than they do on any other platform. So that really didn't make sense to me. And then you kind of look at the numbers, right? Some of these TikToks, it will show you how many views they get because it's all video content, right? And some of these just regular people like me and you, they'll have pieces of TikToks that go viral. I would say they'll have $300,000-$500,000 view, or not dollars, the 300 to 500,000 views. And if you look at the comment section, if a piece of content is getting close to 500,000 views, it's gonna have some kind of comment section below. And many of the comment sections are dead. There's literally maybe 5 to 10 comments, and you don't see that on any other platform. So it not being regulated by American businesses and American companies and stuff like that, I just believe that a lot of the numbers that they have on there are kind of fake in a sense, just because you just don't see that platform. Maybe the algorithm is just completely different and it just acts completely different, but you just don't see the results that they're getting on that platform on any other platform, and that's just really odd to me. So I really don't see it being that big, and I honestly I see a lot of healthcare professionals are starting to get on there and start posting videos with their office and whatnot. I honestly just tell my clients don't worry about it. Instagram is the one you want to be on, and that's the one you really want to focus on, because whether you want it or not, it's going to be here 5-10 years from here. Mark Zuckerberg's not going anywhere with Facebook, and Instagram is just growing. It's not going anywhere. So if a platform you want to grow on, that would be the one I would stay on.
That's really good to know, because that is exactly where my mind went. It's do I have to worry about this thing? Seriously. I don't have enough to worry about right now. It's now I got to learn this TikTok thing, whatever. So I'm glad to hear you say, and I do, not that my opinion really matters, but I do agree that I feel like Facebook taking over Instagram and then having Instagram be that that works, cool, we'll just do that then. And most people, I know that kids like to be up on what's cool and what's new, but it does seem like most other people would prefer to just have one channel. And it's nice that it does exist. And it's nice to hear you say that all of the work that we're doing isn't going to be totally worth nothing in 2 years. So Even if it's just that I'm hearing what I want to hear, I like hearing what you're saying on that. So our fourth question is, outside of Instagram, what do you think is important for healthcare workers to start doing more regarding digital marketing?
Yeah, so I mean, that's just, same thing with email stuff. I'd be just really consistent with it. And like simple things that you can kind of do to kind of just make sure that everything is kind of growing is, and there's a whole bunch of things, So we have like a 3-step process that we do with our clients that really like to, just they want everything. They want us to completely take care of everything, right? So first is Facebook ads, right? So if you want patients and you want patients in the door right now, Facebook ads are probably the best way to kind of get them because they're so great. And then if you're really good at kind of creating ads, you can get patients in left and right. So that's kind of like the immediate thing you want to do to just kind of get patients in. But then you also want to set yourself up for long-term success and build a brand that, eventually you won't have to pay for your traffic to come inside. You can just rely on people that you built out, referrals you got, and just, rely on that completely. And so that comes into, building out your social media profiles, building out like an email system that, is continuously emailing them at least once a month. And then, just setting, because like, this is a lot of things, like a lot of agencies, they won't really tell you stuff like this, but a lot of what we do is all automated. Like, once we set up the email automation stuff, we don't ever have to touch it again. Like it's set up once and it's running. And, unless that platform goes down, which usually, platforms we work with are like ActiveCampaign, MailChimp. And these are huge businesses, not going anywhere. They're used by millions of users. And so what I would do is, I would figure out how to run Facebook ads or have someone run it for you, right? Have a system to where, there's continuous follow-ups, right? So like, when we run Facebook ads, we'll have our assistants, our employees in the Philippines immediately go ahead and call and qualify those people that fill out the forms and say, hey, like, what kind of interest do you have? Can you come in on this day? We'll go ahead and get an appointment set up. And then, 24 hours before an appointment is set up, we'll have automatic reminders, they'll get an email, they'll get a text just confirming it. A week before the actual appointment, they'll get a confirmation text just to, make sure they're good. And then after their appointment is over, they're getting blasted with an email saying, hey, can you fill out this review and let us know what we did good, what we didn't did good. And then, you can even like do a whole bunch of things. And this is huge. I think you got to really know where most of your traffic comes from, right? And then really dial in and just scale it, completely scale it. So if your traffic is all coming from one doctor, just make sure you're really good friends with that doctor and it can continue to come, right? And like you could, and this just comes to being, transparent with your patients, just asking them like, hey, where'd you hear from me? Where'd you hear me from? Well, where'd you find out about us? And just really, keeping track of that and then, completely taking that to the next level. And then, if you ever work with an agency, if you ever work with any market professionals, you always like marketing, I would say like, 10 years ago wasn't really about data and analytics. It used to be just about creativity and kind of doing everything like you think looked nice. But now it's all about data and analytics. So you want to always ask them, okay, I want you to show me the data behind what's happening. Like how many people saw this, how many people saw that, where is all the traffic coming from? Am I paying you for the traffic correctly? Like, you always want to look into the data side and not just let them do what they want to do. Because, right now, I would say marketing is like the thing that everybody does. I feel like everybody I talk to is a marketer, and they've done it before, but really they haven't. And so you just really want to be able to make sure that they're doing great. But I would just, completely stop relying on the referral system and just start building out everything. You don't have to do it all at once. Just build it out slowly start integrating yourself into the digital world, And if that means just posting on Instagram, maybe once a week, building it out to twice, 3 times a week, maybe doing some Q&As with other fellow, peers, going on your Facebook page, just updating that time to time, updating your website, and then, starting putting lead magnets down, having, just slowly start building up over time. And then over like 2-3 years, you'll have a whole entire like infrastructure and structure, just systems and processes all set up. And then you won't ever have to hire anybody to do any of that. And then you'll notice that you do this stuff consistently and your traffic will just continue to just start compounding and take off. And, then by then, when you start to look to retire or sell your business, you can sell it for a lot more because you have a repeatable system set in place.
Now, and I want to pull out something now you mentioned twice, and I think this is kind of like worth touching on, but talk about that lead magnet, that lead generating product. I have my opinion of what I think you're talking about, but I'd rather actually hear it directly from you.
Yeah, so lead magnet can be literally anything, and you'll see a whole bunch of people put it. So it could be a video guide, it could be a course, it could be an ebook, it could be a discount code, it could be whatever, right? And so the best way to kind of get, you can have that set up, but then you set it up through active campaign. Basically, what you're looking for is for them to give you their email address, most importantly. But I've seen a lot of people, and this is kind of we've been trying to transition into, is put their phone number in and put their location in. And the reason why is you can set up filters, right? So like, because like if you're on social media, someone from like Texas might fill out the lead magnet, but they're not going to be a patient because they're from Texas. We're not going to fly out all the time just to come see you, right? And so what you can do is set up filters to make sure that they're in a separate list, a separate segment, and that if you're getting a person from New York filling out a lead magnet, that they get a text saying, "Hey, why don't you give us a call and we'll get you an appointment set up." Or maybe you'll have one of your front desk go ahead and give them a call and say, "Hey, I know you filled out the lead magnet. You want to come in and we'll do this for you for free, just so you can get them into the door, kind of build that relationship right there." But what I've been seeing a lot of people doing to kind of get people to get those lead magnets is just putting it in their bio of like their profiles, and then just when you're posting stuff on your Instagram, you're gonna just draw traffic, even though it's a little bit. Eventually, it'll compound over time, right? And then you're gonna have people filling that out over time, and then it's just gonna continuously keep bringing on that traffic. And then you just want to make sure you send out maybe a newsletter every month. And with those lead magnets, the ones that perform the best are the ones that provide like a lot of value. So anything that well, like I said, humor brings like educational stuff, kind of like you said about the neck, like just tell some small treatment plans, whatever it may be. It could be an ad voucher, whatever, but whatever brings the most value is the ones that are perform the best.
Yeah, that's where we are lead magnet is, and right now it's being kind of refurbished and updated because we're always updating it. But we have our foundations of health on our website. The conversations that are so important about optimizing the systems of your body, your immune system, your cardiopulmonary system, your integumentary system, everything, your nervous system, all working together. And those are things like sleep, stress, exercise, ergonomics, breathing, connection. Those are the things that are so important to everyone to understand. But if someone comes to me with shoulder pain, they probably don't want to spend an hour talking about it. So that was a portion of our website that we built that was really robust and really good, and something that we very quickly actually made into an ebook, and that's our lead generator. It's like, want to feel 15% healthier in 10 days? Cool. Like, click on this book. And if you even choose one of those things that we recommend, for sure you're going to feel better. So that's good to hear that those are the types of things. With fake followers, and even talk about like, what is a fake follower? How do people get fake followers? Saying, like, tell the whole story.
Yeah, so you can have people who actually go in and buy bots, and so what it is it's literally just a bot is like, I would say, like, I don't really know how to really go in depth with this. It's just a fake following. So like, people will create accounts, and it's really easy to notice, like, figure out. There's people who have really good bots, and there's people who have really cheap, inefficient bots. And those cheap, inefficient bots are like, the profile picture will be like a black screen, and their username is probably gonna be like a whole bunch of random letters and numbers, right? Nothing like coherent. And then they're gonna like your photos and stuff, and they might have like 5 followers, and they might be following like 1,000 people. Those are like usually bots, and the main use of them is just to kind of inflate your numbers. You can have bots that give you a whole bunch of followers, and then you can have a whole bunch of bots that just give you a whole bunch of likes. And so both those don't really matter much. And like, Instagram is even thinking about rolling out a new update. I don't think it'll ever happen. Is where they just remove the likes completely. And so like, those bots aren't going to mean anything. It's really going to be about the engagement, the comments, and that's kind of why I said that likes don't really mean much. And then like, looking at people's followings doesn't really mean much either. Like, it's pretty easy to see if someone has like a fake following, and this is something you'll see a ton with plastic surgeons, especially. I think it's just mostly like they want to. It's an ego thing. You want to have a lot of followers. It means a lot. But if you think about it, fake followers mean nothing. Like they don't. Like if most people have the cheap kind, they don't interact with your account at all. So if they're not liking the photo and they're just a number out there, now back in the day it might have looked kind of cool to have 10,000 followers, but now it looks even you kind of look dumb just because you just bought into that, and now you have 10,000 followers, but you're getting 2 to 3 likes on a photo. It doesn't make sense. So obviously your following is fake, and so that's kind of what I see about fake followers. What you want to do, and a lot of people they have bought fake followers, and stuff like that happens. A lot of marketers will think that they're actually growing out your accounts. So if you did buy fake followers, don't worry. If you already have like a decent engagement on there, if you're getting like more than like 100 likes, I would say I wouldn't worry about starting a new account. What I would just focus on is just being really, really like hard on the manual engagement. So just making sure that consistently commenting and bringing that inflow of new people in and having them being really engaging. And then, you're just gonna have to step it up in other areas. You're gonna have to be able to produce better content, more engaging content, be doing the manual engagement more consistently, trying to hit as many. So like Instagram, it allows you to do 200 comments per day. And so you want to be able to get up to those numbers every single day and just be really engaging and stuff, and just focus on trying to drive that engagement up. And so that's kind of like a lot of the clients I work with, they start off, like I have a plastic surgeon, he has like 30,000 followers, but he was getting about, I think like 70 likes before we started working with them per photo. And so then we were like, we're probably going to have to delete your account and start all over again. Because like everything was just like, there was no comments on any photos. Some photos would get 70 likes. Some photos would get like 20 likes. It was just really consistent. We're like, there's no point of posting to 0 people, and then it is, you might as well just start over and start posting to 5 to 10, 15 people versus like 0 people. And then you also got to kind of, what else do people find? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything I'd say with big followers. Like, just keep that stuff in mind. And then like another thing is like, a good way to kind of know if someone has a big following. And this is, if you ever work with any kind of marketers, you kind of want to check this, is you want to go onto a website. It's called socialblade.com. And what it allows you to do is analyze basically a person's account. And if the person has a huge unfollowing every single day instead of like a consistent growth, that means they probably either did 2 things. They are in some kind of scandal, which most of the time isn't what happens, or they have fake followers. And so that's kind of what we do when we look at people's accounts. We kind of go into Social Blade and we look and see, okay, are they having a mass unfollowing every day, or are they not? Because Instagram can detect the bots, and it's getting way better at doing it. And what they'll do is they'll go in on their end and delete that account. And so if your following is just all bots, you'll see that your account is getting mass unfollowings. And then you also got to think about it, right? The algorithm is thinking, if a lot of people are unfollowing you, it's because your content is terrible, right? And so they're not going to want to push your stuff out to more people. So there's a whole bunch of things that come in with bots, but I think, it just completely destroys the account. And it's just not, it's definitely the worst method you can kind of go at with marketing and stuff. So, I mean, the best way is just be consistent, slowly, steadily, just keep ramping it up. And then you'll when we first started, like with your account, we grew it like 2 followers, 4 followers, and it just starts compounding, keeps going up and up and up. And I think that's just the main thing you got to kind of look at. It's always going to start off slow, but a month in, you'll start to grow hundreds and hundreds of followers every single day, and that's what you want. So that's kind of what I do.
It's definitely worth slow cooking that stuff for sure. It's the same thing as fitness. It's just like slow cook it. There's no rush here, especially since you said you promised me that Instagram is going to be around in 10 years. So slow cook that real nice. We're going to get into our Q&A now. Teresa had a question. Do you have any security concerns with TikTok? And I'll also say, Teresa, if this is the Teresa I'm thinking of, I know that you have a background with security clearances and things like that with the government. If you have any opinion, like any additional information from your contact that used to work for as a contractor for the government and national security, you can let us know right now, but no pressure if you don't know anything. But what's your opinion on that? Nick, do you have any security concerns with TikTok?
I mean, I know because like when you in their privacy and concerns or whatever, the terms and conditions, I know that people have posted saying that they do have access to like photos, a whole bunch of other stuff. I honestly like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg literally got sued for this like over the last couple of years. There's a lot of privacy concerns with Facebook and Instagram as well. So I think it is kind of getting overplayed by the media just for putting fuel on the fire and just kind of blowing it up a little bit. But I mean, I honestly don't care because I don't have anything bad on my phone. I'm not doing anything illegal, so it's just like I don't.
It's
But like
exactly what someone who's doing something illegal would say on a public forum. Yeah, me
so
either. I love paying taxes.
if you're like working with like some confidential stuff, then I would probably not be on it just because you never know if it's gonna come back in 5-10 years and kind of come get you in the ass. So just be careful with it. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's already a law right now. If you're like a security or a law enforcement or anything, you're not supposed to have it on your phone. So just be careful with it, I'd say.
Yeah, and what was it as far as TikTok, but like Instagram? This is a real question, and I'm not even kidding. But like, is this listening to me? And I'll say 3 weeks ago, I'm reading a phenomenal book right now by Joel Jameson. It's Ultimate MMA Conditioning. And I was on a Skype chat with a consultant that I'm working with on a project, and I mentioned that book. I didn't type it. I didn't do anything. I literally just said it on Skype, and my phone happened to be near. And right away that night, I got a sponsored ad from the guy who wrote the book that I was talking about. Now, I'm a firm believer that when everyone's like, oh my God, this always happens to me. Like whenever I say this happens. Like, no, it doesn't every time. You say thousands of things every day that has nothing that ends up having a consequence, but you do certainly notice it when something like that happens. Like if I say, oh my God, I wonder how Kevin's doing. Like I haven't thought about him in a while. And then you run into Kevin, you notice it. But I thought about 4 other people that day that I didn't run into. So I think we get a little biased in our own heads. What's your impression of actually what Instagram can do? And if you don't have an opinion on this, that's fine. But like what Instagram can do and how much information they're gathering once you give them permission to use your microphone, look at your photos and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, a couple questions real quick. So with the book, did you buy it off of Amazon? Where did you get the book from?
Say that again?
Where did you get the book from? Like, did you buy it off
I
Amazon?
did get it on Amazon, yes. And I bought the book about 6 weeks prior.
Okay. And then, okay, so it's kind of, maybe it's a weird coincidence with the timing, but what I would assume is, so Facebook, they have access to like, it's considered like it's like, I'm not completely sure about this, but I'm pretty sure they have access to your cookies on your computer. So it's like, it's basically kind of like anything that you share or send. And then they're just accessing that data. So I'm not sure about the exact thing with that, but they're just accessing that data and then posting it out there for you. Because like, it kind of goes back with the algorithm, it's like they want to show you stuff that you like or you've searched, because then you're most likely to look at it, buy it, whatever it may be. And then that's how they profit and make their money. And so a lot of people always say that. And then I think it just mostly comes down to like what you searched before or what you bought prior. And then this is why like data is so important. Like things like big companies like Amazon and stuff, they have like, now they have credit cards for Amazon, right? So now people are buying stuff with an Amazon credit card, and now they have access to that data. And so now they can show you stuff from that data on your Amazon account. So then you're more likely to purchase from them. And so it's just using that data and then using it against you, really. And then that's kind of why a lot of people are against Apple having your credit card information, because now Safari is going to start showing you stuff that you bought with your Apple card. And, it's going to be like that. And then that's just how it is with all these big companies. Like if they have access to your data, they're going to try to sell it back to you, and try to get you from that angle.
Makes perfect sense. Next question is from Bridget. Are putting tags in your posts important in Instagram?
So hashtags used to be really relevant. And then honestly, like I just think the algorithm's changing so much right now. And then if you look at really like a lot of big, like I would say like the Instagram, like entrepreneur gurus, like, these huge marketing guys like Gary Vee, for example, he never uses hashtags. And so I think hashtags aren't really as relevant as they used to be. It's a hit or miss kind of thing. I don't think you should really focus too hard on that. That's probably like in the back of my mind. I do try to, play around with it, and obviously I still use them just because at least you're getting anywhere from like 100 to 200 views or impressions just from that alone, or sometimes I'll get like 5 to 10 impressions off of that, and so I still try to put them in, but it's not like my main focus to figure out the best hashtag and stuff. My general rule of thumb is just to kind of do like 3 to 4 big hashtags, and then and big hashtags meaning more than like a million posts within those hashtags, and then try to find the others. Like I try to keep it just 10 hashtags, and then the other 6 just to be relatively small, so under 100,000 posts within it, and then and so you just gotta kind of keep playing with it and see what works. But you can use different apps. Like there's an app called or a service called Later, I believe. Yeah, Later. And what it does is it tracks how many people are clicking your content off of that hashtag. And so then you can kind of create a really good custom hashtag strategy. But then once again, the algorithm is always changing. That used to work really well for me, and now it's a hit or miss. So like when Instagram first started, the thing was to put as many hashtags as you could, which was 31 at the time or 30 at the time or something like that. And that was the key. But now it's just like maybe less is better. But I mean, I couldn't tell you for sure. It's always changing. Just don't worry about it too much. Just focus on being the consistent daily actions and doing the manual engagement. It's going to pay off way more.
Yeah, my impression is the relevance matters. If you just have the same 30 hashtags that you pop onto every single one, eventually it just kind of ignores that you're even doing that. Bringing it back to Teresa, just to follow up on that question, she said, I do have concerns, was wondering if others shared those concerns. It has too much access to your stuff. Sounds fair.
Yeah.
So Nick, one, tell us where everyone can find you for any of the lead generation, for if they just think you're awesome and want to see the beautiful pictures of your family behind you on your personal Instagram, whatever you want to share, awesome. And show them the one more over too. Let's get the whole feel for the whole family.
There's Albert Einstein right there. My sister's little paintings when she was younger.
Beautiful.
There's the big
family. Your high school that graduated with, or that's your family. Yep.
It's like a baby photo. I was like probably like 15. We have Indian flag upside down. It's kind of
beautiful.
A whole bunch of little tiny photos in here, but that's pretty much it. We have a whole bunch of my family's graduation stuff, basic stuff, but that's about it. But you can be Elevate Marketing. So we spell Elevate differently. We have 2 A's in there. It's a whole long story, but basically, I was supposed to start this business with a friend of mine, and his last name. So my last name is Abraham, and his last name is Al-Khatib. Bishop, if you're watching this, shout out to you. But he ended up, focusing on school instead, and I'm okay with that, completely okay. And so we did Elevate with 2 A, so it's ELEVAATE marketing.com. Or you can find my software at Elevate Leads, or you can just find me on Instagram, Nick Abraham.
Perfect. And your Instagram is Nick.
It's N1CK Abraham. So it looks like Nick Abraham, but it has that 1 instead.
Respect. It's totally different, very unique, and very cool. Yeah. So, Nick, that is everything. Do you want to sum us up with a few words, a little conclusion before we go? Is there anything that you thought of that you wanted to rehash, or just kind of give the general sentiment of everything we're talking about?
Yeah, I'll give you a good one. Imperfect action is always better than perfect action. So just that daily consistency is what's going to really grow your business. It's going to grow your social media profiles. So just being consistent with it. Don't worry too much about social media. Always just focus on your main thing, which is your, being a healthcare professional, if that's who you are, whatever business you run. Just, that's your main thing. Focus on that. But always just look to add on daily to the other things. And over time, you're going to have a whole entire digital infrastructure, and that's just going to take your business to the next level.
Perfect. Nick, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us. This was phenomenal. Everyone out there, if you like this, hopefully you end up sharing it with some people, because we'll be shooting it as an MP3 and it'll be on YouTube. Thank you so much for your time, Nick. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and have a beautiful and healthy rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Steve.